After all the drama surrounding AEW All Out and the suspensions of The Elite and CM Punk, AEW EVP Kenny Omega asks fans to let it go in regards to the drama with CM Punk and All Out. Speaking of CM Punk, we've got an update on the not so pretty chants that were aired during AEW Full Gear and then repeated during Being the Elite on Monday. Speaking of Punk too, we've got an update on some AEW people in the locker room not believing claims made by himself and AEW President Tony Khan. The Young Bucks also have commented on being in Chicago tonight for Dynamite. Speaking of tonight's Dynamite, Jade Cargill is facing off with Bow Wow. We've got the latest on that bizarre story. Plus, we've got the latest scenes from Fight Forever, including a trailer involving former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Another edition of AEW Dynamite live on TBS. Of course, it's the Thanksgiving Eve edition of Dynamite, so certainly a big show. But let's start off talking about what else, the drama surrounding All Out, CM Punk and The Elite, because AEW EVP Kenny Omega, the same Kenny Omega that returned this past Sunday, or Saturday rather, at Full Gear, and will be challenging Will Ospreay for the New Japan's IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom in January, has broken his silence on the drama surrounding the brawl between CM Punk and the Elite after All Out. And the drama over the alleged backstage brawl at the All Out pay-per-view in September has enveloped AEW for months at this point, and Kenny Omega is asking fans to, quote, let it go, in a new, and that's not like a Frozen reference, that's just let it go, leave it. Let's not talk about it, let's move on, essentially. In a new interview with Sports Illustrated on Wednesday, Omega opened up about his in-ring return last weekend alongside the Young Bucks following their lengthy suspensions over the All Out incident. The Elite made their return at Saturday night's Full Gear event and later included clips of the AEW crowd raucously chanting F CM Punk in their weekly Being the Elite vlog. But Omega is asking for everyone to move past this situation. Quote, there are things no one can talk about, so I'd encourage people to let it go, Omega said. It doesn't change that we want a team effort in AEW. I don't even mean implicitly myself and my opponent. It also means the referee, the fans, the people who set up the ring, everyone. Even a technical error can ruin the memory of a match. I can refer back to the exploding barbed wire death match. So I encourage people to move away from it because there is no information to be released. Though I cannot talk about it, I do want the fans to know I still want the best for pro wrestling. Omega and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, also known as The Elite, were off television for more than 2 months after getting in an alleged backstage fight with former AEW World Champion CM Punk and Ace Steel after All Out. The Elite members were stripped of their AEW World Trios Championships, while Punk was stripped of the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Punk has not returned to television since the incident. Of course, he also tore his triceps in the main event of All Out. He has subsequently undergone surgery. He's out of action for a significant period of time, possibly 8 to 9 months. In addition to that, there are reports that he is actively negotiating a buyout of his contract with AEW President Tony Khan. Now, before I go into some of the other Kenny Omega quotes I do want to get into, I do think it's kind of ironic for Kenny Omega to do this interview with Sports Illustrated and tell fans to let it go when on Monday he and the Elite, Nick and Matt Jackson, released their vlog, which openly included very implicitly the explicit chants directed at Punk this past Saturday at Full Gear. If you haven't watched the clip, essentially there is music playing. It's also showing footage of the Elite making their entrance at Full Gear. The music stops and they pan to the crowd as the crowd chants FCM Punk. So if you're going to recommend to fans to let it go, you yourself should let it go, which clearly they have not because they put it in the video on Monday. And at the same time, isn't this part of the problem? I'm not picking sides here, but what I am suggesting here is you've got CM Punk's, one of his big critiques towards Omega and the Bucks was that these were people that weren't behaving in a manner of executive vice presidents of the company. Would executive vice presidents come back and immediately throw shots at the person that got them suspended in the first place? I'm not sure if that's professional behavior, but nothing is professional when it comes to this incident. Now, Kenny Omega has also detailed his goals for the upcoming Best of 7 series that he is involved in with the Elite and Death Triangle. Omega has detailed his goals for the upcoming Best of 7 Trio series between the Elite and Death Triangle. The two teams faced each other at Full Gear this past Saturday, marking the Elite's return to AEW television following their 2-month absence from the company. While the Elite lost the match, the two teams will face each other in a series of matches going forward. In the aforementioned interview with Sports Illustrated, Omega outlined his plans for the upcoming matchups. Quote, "We are 6 individuals with a unique vision on professional wrestling. Our minds are never closed to one idea or another, so the possibility exists for every match to look unique. The Lucha Brothers are known for Lucha Libre, but Penta and Phoenix aren't limited to one style. Pac is the same. He came through the UK Indies, then moved on to Dragon Gate in Japan, which is a totally different style, and it includes Lucha Libre. He wrestled in WWE, which is sports entertainment, and now in AEW, which is a hybrid alternative sports entertainment brand. Death Triangle has such a wide range, and this is a platform in a potential 7 matches. That's a lot of matches to show your craft to a lot of people. If people don't know Death Triangle, they're going to by the end of this series. We take a lot of pride in showing what trios wrestling can be. It can be a daunting task to have these incredibly challenging matches every week, but it's really a chance for us to show that trios wrestling has a place. That's our goal. To show what wrestling can be." Now, he's not wrong when it comes to trios wrestling. Some of my favorite matches within the past decade have involved The Shield in WWE, and they've been 6-man matches. There is an energy and a flow to trios matches that you don't really tend to see in other matches. The pace can be frenetic. The hot tag and the finishes can last 10 to 15 minutes because you've got so many moving parts that you can just go to spot, go to spot, go to spot, go to spot, go to spot without having a rest hold. So I think he's right. There certainly is a place for trios wrestling. Now, when he's also spoken about his return this past weekend, Omega, he's spoken about wanting to make his return special. He also said that he wanted to make the return of the Elite feel like a rock concert for fans, which goes to explain why they came out with a special entrance this past weekend at Full Gear. He said, quote, "We knew we had to make it special for the fans. It felt like we left people in limbo, so we really had to come back emphatically. Our goal is to make wrestling feel like a rock concert. We wanted people to focus entirely on the match, and whether you were rooting for us or against us, we wanted people to enjoy it. As soon as the music hit, we wanted it to be a spectacle. We wanted people to know they were in for a ride. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the performance." And it must be said, I thought the Elite stole the show at the weekend, as was to be expected. When you put the Elite in there with Death Triangle, you've got 6 of the very best wrestlers in all Elite Wrestling, so it shouldn't be much of a surprise that they stole the show, and they did just that. And I expect them to continue to steal the show over the next 10 or so weeks in which the Best of 7 series is going to happen. So I'm really excited, very excited to see this series, but I kind of rolled my eyes when I heard those comments about Omega saying to let it go, because I don't think he has either. And this is just an example of it. The Elite shared this footage, as I mentioned, of the CM Punk chants at Full Gear. As I mentioned, they made their long-awaited return at Full Gear this past Saturday. It marked their first appearance since All Out and the infamous media scrum that followed it. Yet when they came out on the losing end against Death Triangle in seeking to regain the AEW World Trios Championships they were forced to vacate, it was apparent by the reception given to them by the fans that they had been missed. The same might not be said about CM Punk, whose status in the company remains up in the air and who, as a result, was not part of Full Gear in any capacity, but his name certainly did come up during the pay-per-view in unflattering fashion, and the Elite were eager to reshare that fact with us. On the latest episode of Being the Elite, the first video in over 2 months, clips of their return are shown, including their entrance, which sees Kansas's Carry On Wayward Son, fantastic song by the way, replaced by music with the lyrics, "No, I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness." If that wasn't subtle enough, they also added a portion of the match where fans erupted into FCM Punk a chorus of FCM Punk shortly after showering the former Trios champions with a chance of welcome back. And they certainly again highlighted it, and this got a lot of reaction on social media because, again, to go back to my point, a lot of people that, and this is the weird thing with this, I don't know if there's a particularly right and wrong side. I think behavior of CM Punk was wrong. I thought the way he handled the media scrum was entirely unprofessional and entirely wrong, and that might, if that was just the incident in itself, that could have warranted a suspension and vacating the championship. The brawl, entirely unprofessional. None of us were in that room, so we can't say what happened, but the majority of reports say that a certain version of events happened as opposed to another version of events. But at the same time, when you come back, and you're going to have people chanting. It's in Chicago tonight. We'll touch on this in a second. You're going to have people chanting tonight as well. And frankly, for a long time now, you're going to have CM Punk chants during the Elite matches. It's always going to happen. It's always going to be the case. You are now wound together by this incident that rocked AEW to its core. So that's always going to be a problem. But if you're professional and if you're executive vice presidents of the company, to come back and highlight that proves that you're not over the issue that you had. In some people's minds, it proves that CM Punk was right, that they can't be EVPs because they can't be professional. So I looked at that and thought it was unnecessary and thought it was pandering to the people on social media that have their back and have been backing them in this Punk situation. And I just thought they could have come back and not said anything. You've also done an interview there, Kenny Omega. You said, I can't say anything, but now you're talking in cryptics and talking in riddles. And at the same time, is that really what you want to be doing? Hasn't that got everyone in the mess in the first place, not being clear with the message that you're trying to say? So I thought it was somewhat unprofessional. Speaking of Punk as well, this again goes back to this incident where it really started. The drama regarding CM Punk and AEW continues to swirl. Following Saturday's Full Gear pay-per-view, AEW President Tony Khan was asked by Wrestling Inc. senior news editor Nick Hausman if CM Punk requested Colt Cabana to be moved to Ring of Honor and to that roster due to the complicated history between the two stars. Khan responded by saying that was not the case, but according to the Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer, not everyone in AEW believes that answer to be truthful. Quote, I keep getting stuff from talents in AEW on this, Meltzer said. Ever since Saturday, I've gotten a lot. Put it this way, there is a lot of talent that is very convinced of one thing. Obviously, CM Punk, he has always been very adamant that he had nothing to do with it. Tony Khan said that he had nothing to do with it. The skepticism, and I mean it's vehement from a lot of people as far as the skepticism of that story, so it's not like this thing has been settled in the eyes of a lot of the talent. Meltzer would go on to say, in the past, fights in the locker room would happen and everybody would eventually move on. But that isn't the case anymore in today's climate. Following Punk's signing with the AEW roster in August last year, Cabana was still present on shows for the company up until March of this year. It had previously been reported that some AEW talent learned Cabana was going to be let go in March and intervened on his behalf. Cabana was then offered a spot on the Ring of Honor roster and was mostly absent from AEW tapings. Khan had previously denied that the move had anything to do with Punk, something he reiterated during Saturday's media scrum. And again, I think that this instant, while Punk may have said I had nothing to do with it, and I don't think Punk ever and this is the key thing here. You have to really read into what people are saying. So I don't think Punk ever asked Tony Khan, get Colt Cabana off the roster. I don't want to work with Colt Cabana. I don't want to be in the same building as him. And I think, and this might be splitting hairs, but this is what I think Tony Khan's doing. I think that Tony Khan had decided to let go Colt Cabana because he felt that that was the best way to appease his top talent. Remember, CM Punk, still to this day, because he's not gone yet, CM Punk to this day is the top paid talent in AEW. We don't know what his deal looks like with the company. He could have way more than just a talent contract. We don't know, but CM Punk is the top paid talent. He's the top merchandise mover. Since he came into the company, they did $1 million gates and they sold a lot of tickets. I know people will say, oh, the product's cold and CM Punk isn't that much of a draw and he hasn't moved the needle in terms of the ratings. Okay, that's fair. It's a fair criticism. But at the same time, his impact on business has been measurable in certain aspects, in certain analytics. So putting it that way, and this is right of Tony Khan, really, you always try to appease your top talent. And whilst Punk may have never explicitly said to Khan, I want to have Cabana taken out of the company, I want Cabana fired, at the same time, Tony Khan might have thought, well, I want to keep my top talent happy. And he might have seen that clearly Punk wasn't happy. And maybe he thought, well, maybe I'll do a difficult decision. Cabana's well liked, but this is a business at the end of the day. It's not show friends, it's show business. And I'll let Cabana go because it's the right thing to do for our business in his mind's eye. And again, that's where I think he's kind of splitting hairs. I don't think CM Punk ever asked Tony Khan to get rid of Colt Cabana. I think Tony Khan was going to do it because he thought it was the right thing to do in terms of his business and making sure his top talent was happy. So ultimately, though, it was one of the catalysts to the situation that they're currently, this whole situation, how they find themselves in. So again, it goes back to, and this is why I always blame Tony Khan for all of this. This is why I said the buck stops, no pun intended, but the buck stops with Tony Khan. Every single flashpoint here involving CM Punk, Hangman Page, Colt Cabana, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, it all could have been prevented if Tony Khan had put his foot down, if Tony Khan had managed the situation better, if Tony Khan had intervened earlier, if Tony Khan was more available to his talents. And I understand that he is very, very busy. He's got multiple companies. That's why your talent relations department should be strong. That's why you should have advisors close to you within the company. And it was too little too late when he started to put in this talent relations infrastructure, because by that point, the damage was done. And by that point, no talent meetings were going to cut it anymore. The damage had been done and this was bubbling. When CM Punk was out with the injury, the foot injury, throughout the entirety of the summer, by all accounts, he was just stewing for 2 months, waiting to come back, waiting to come on television, waiting to do what he was going to do to Hangman Page, waiting to do what he was going to do in the press conference. This was all premeditated from Punk, who had been stewing for months. And again, all of that could have been prevented by Tony Khan being in regular contact with his talent, making sure that these rumors that were going around were dispelled early on, making sure that, his talent wasn't speaking to the dirt sheets, or these rumors that were coming out to the dirt sheets, he dispelled early on, but he didn't. And it fostered this toxic attitude in the locker room of hearsay and rumors, and nobody knew what was going on and what the truth was. And now to this point, still nobody will know what the truth is and what's going on. And ultimately, the buck stops with Tony Khan. He did not manage that situation properly. Speaking of the Bucks, hey, do you like that pun? Of course, tonight, AEW Dynamite is live in Chicago. And speaking of the Young Bucks and CM Punk, wow, this could get a little bit tasty, couldn't it? Because AEW returns to Chicago, or the Chicago area, this Wednesday to film a live episode of AEW Dynamite and a taped episode of Rampage at the Wintrust Arena. It will be AEW's first visit to the area since the All Out pay-per-view, which took place at the Now Arena in the Chicago suburb of Hoffman Estates on September 4. This particular visit to the city will be the first without hometown hero and former AEW World Champion CM Punk involved. Punk's status with AEW is currently unknown following his tirade during the All Out post-show media scrum, which allegedly led to a skirmish in the locker room with AEW EVPs Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. The Bucks, who of course made their in-ring return alongside Omega at Full Gear this past Saturday, have now updated their Twitter bio, a tradition of the Bucks when they wish to provide an update to the masses, seemingly looking ahead to the reaction they may perhaps receive this Wednesday night in Punk's hometown. They wrote, "Chicago, this'll be interesting." Now, of course, again, this comes on the back of the FCM Punk chants this weekend. Chance which AEW EVPs, the Bucks, and Omega highlighted in BTE. And again, if you were worried about the reaction, why would you highlight the negative reaction that CM Punk got this past weekend? Because it's going to be interesting. I would suspect that the hometown crowd of Punk will be on his side. But look, Chicago's got a mind of its own, and the perception of Punk has changed over the last few months. So I don't know if the Elite are going to get a frosty reception. Logically, you would think yes. But at the same time, again, that could have been avoided if they were professional in the way that they returned. And they, like this whole issue, it feels like nobody's learned their lesson. It's just exactly the same. So that reaction is certainly going to be interesting. Speaking of Dynamite tonight, Jade Cargill and Bow Wow. I'm not joking here. This is a real thing. After weeks of build-up on social media, AEW wrestler Jade Cargill and actor/rapper Bow Wow had a confrontation on Sunday night at Bow Wow show in Miami. Now AEW has announced that the confrontation will be shown on tonight's installment of Dynamite. The company's tweet promises an exclusive update to the feud, as well as showing the footage of Sunday's incident to the AEW audience. Shortly after the confrontation occurred, TMZ released cell phone footage that saw the tail end of the incident with Jade, Layla Gray, and Red Velvet escorted away from Bow Wow by security. The high level of promotion behind this online feud certainly seems to indicate that the two will step into the ring with each other at some point soon. However, AEW is yet to hold an intergender singles match, a controversial match type in professional wrestling to say the least. Considering Bow Wow has no history in wrestling and Cargill herself is still relatively new to the sport, putting the two in the ring together without a veteran to keep things going smoothly could present a problem. However, Bow Wow did say that he was going to be training with Rikishi, so anything's possible. I can't say I have a ton of interest in it, but at the same time, it was generating some buzz on social media, and I guess that's kind of the point about all of it. So, I don't know. I don't know what this is going to look like this evening, but I guess that's the point of tuning in, right? We'll have to wait and see what it does look like. Finally, Fight Forever. We have an update on AEW's first ever console video game, and AEW has debuted some new footage of Jon Moxley from its hotly anticipated upcoming video game, AEW Fight Forever. After a number of delays, AEW has ramped up the marketing for the game in recent days as we draw closer to its release. The latest footage comes via the AEW Fight Forever YouTube account, which has uploaded a video highlighting Jon Moxley's character model. The video comes and shows off some of Moxley's moves in the game, as well as his entrance through the crowd. The footage is interspersed with video footage of the real Jon Moxley to show off the game's fidelity to the former AEW champion's moveset and mannerisms. The game, of course, has gone through a number of changes in recent months, most notably the removal of CM Punk from the game's marketing and likely box art in the wake of Punk's suspension from the company. A firm date for the game's release has not been set just yet, but is likely to be sometime in early 2023. So it looks okay. Again, I spoke about this the other day, so you can go check out that video. It depends what you look for in a wrestling video game. Is it graphics? Is it gameplay? Is it storyline? For me, it's a bit of everything. I'm not sure how great the graphics look, but if it plays well and if it's got a good story, I don't particularly care. So there you go. There's your AEW news stories. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's AEW news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.